Hey friends, what's good? How are you guys doing? Today's a combo story time slash art time. So, um, I'm doing progress reports pretty much all the time now. I find with each particular piece that I'm working on, I have this particular little audience that is following along. And I really love that because somebody might be learning, just like I'm learning, somebody else might be learning how to do something new. And why not? Let's learn art. So today I've been working on the shading of underneath the wolf and around the sheep. So the sun is coming from this side. Yeah, the sun's coming from this side downward. So I'm working on shading their feet and all that stuff. It's very different for me to focus on shading because, like I was saying a long time ago, I told you guys this. I am an abstract artist. So for me to do any kind of realism like this, it's still shocking me. So my dad was a real artist, like a realism artist. He could paint uh, the most meticulous and beautiful art and make everything look real, and his shading was unbelievable. So that's kind of the story I want to talk about today. I took art most of my elementary school years. I was in art class, and usually, your art teacher was also your teacher. So she taught you math, and they did PE and all that kind of stuff. And being raised by an artist, it didn't matter what that art teacher taught me. I would go home and learn, to me, what proper art teachers should teach you, which was, shading and um, trying to make things look not uncanny. I think that's a really big deal. When I loved Picasso and people that did the fantasy type artwork where it had so many different meanings to whoever looked at it. But my dad was a realist artist. Like, he could paint nudes, he could draw with pencil, sketch buildings. He did architecture type buildings. Very real, very meticulous in his placement of things. But for me, I I didn't quite establish a way that I was going to paint until I became probably 25 years old. And then I decided, oh, I want to paint abstract because I never want to make anything look real because I'll never be able to make it look as good as my dad did. And that's a problem. When you grow up that way, you could have a sports and athletic dad, you could have a mom that's in business and does everything perfectly in business. We kind of I didn't want to disappoint my dad with the realism that I wasn't able to obtain as a child. So I kind of stuck with abstract. But one thing I do remember about art classes was I think it was grade 10 when I started to voice my opinion about having an art teacher that was also a PE teacher slash math teacher, that kind of thing. It started to become a problem for me that if you don't know what you're doing, then why are you teaching this? Like, you're learning as much as we are. Don't tell me how to do art. Like, especially because I grew up around it. My whole life was art. And I used to get into arguments, especially with one of my teachers in grade 10. I finally said to him, I questioned everything he was doing, which I've always been this way. I think I raised my kids to be this way. And I feel that if you don't agree with something, then don't agree with it. You can argue, you can debate, you get your point across. We don't always have to agree, and we don't have to argue or fight about it. But I didn't like the way this teacher wanted me to do something a specific way. When, as an artist, you just want to create from your heart. And I get learning the foundations of things. Like I'm starting to realize now more and more that maybe listening a little bit more on how to do shading and how to, get the line work correct. But the problem is that I'd already learned that from my dad. So I didn't feel like I needed to learn it from a teacher. And I'm thinking starting grade 10, I started not listening anyways. I didn't want to listen to the teachers. I don't know how I made it to grade 12. And then I went on to university like 3 times. So I was just kind of adamant that they were wrong and I was right. And, they weren't always wrong, but sometimes they were. So I got into this argument once about what the final exam thing was going to be. And he wanted this to be on the exam, this sort of particular thing to be in the painting, and you had to do this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I ended up getting kicked out of art because I just refused to kind of bow to that BS about everybody's lumped into one thing and we're going to rate you and grade you according to, these specific things. I didn't like that. And so I quit. I quit grade 10 art and I said, I don't need this anymore. I'll take PE or do something different. I can't remember what I ended up. Oh, I think went into law and did some law and math and extra stuff like that. Yeah, because sometimes we don't have to follow the rules, especially now knowing as an adult at 55 years old, there are no rules to follow. There are suggestions, and yes, you can make changes in your life to follow certain rules so that nobody gets hurt. Like I read my Bible. I love God. I believe that we need to have morals and we need to follow what things make sense in the world, like don't kill people, don't steal their stuff, don't hurt, that kind of thing. But when it comes to art, do what you want. We have there's niches for everything now as far as art goes. I mean, I have seen some incredible artists that have never ever ever amounted to anything because you can't put them in a box. You can't fit them into, and sometimes I feel like that's the space I'm in. I am not going to conform, but sometimes if you don't conform, you get no attention. Then there's other people like Picasso. I'm sorry if you're an avid Picasso. I was raised loving Picasso and trying to understand him, but I also look at it now, look back and go, what a bunch of crap. Like that's about as bad as the banana tape to the wall kind of scenario that gets billions of dollars. Like, what are we doing here? That's not art. That's not art. That's tacky and it's ridiculous and it's money laundering, but hey. So um, I decided that, I'd quit art at that time, grade 10, and just kind of venture into an abstract world where I did create some really wild abstracts. I remember even giving one as a gift to my doctor because I had a doctor who helped me through some really tumultuous times in my childhood. And I thought, man, I'm going to do some art. And he framed it, and he hung it in his doctor's office. And that to me felt like success. Like, wow, my own art hanging in a doctor's clinic. It was pretty wild. But I don't know about you guys. Does anybody do art or think that their stuff is outside the norm and it makes people maybe a little uncomfortable so they don't pursue it or push it any further? I suggest doing it. Get out there and do it. Whatever way you can do it. Like for me, I'm having so much fun experimenting with things and to wake up every morning and go, huh, there is something new to learn. Like every day there's something new to learn. Let's learn something new. So today is shading and remembering the past when teachers wanted me to do something and I said no. I'm really glad I said no sometimes because I was standing up for myself and my rights as an artist to do whatever I wanted, to paint whatever I want. As a musician, you're not going to sit down and do other people's music. That's not going to make you feel good. It will maybe sell albums and stuff, but it's not going to make you feel good. We need to, from the heart, we need to feel good about what we do. So I'm really loving this. This is all a journey for me. I love, like this peony in the back here, the peonies with the ant, because of the direct correlation with ants opening up a peony. Somebody said to me, why on earth, why is that, you know, is, is that a piece of, yeah, that's art to me. The peony only opens because the ant eats the sugar off the peony and it opens the petal. They work together. So that's kind of why I do the art that I do. I think every artist has stories behind their art as well. When I first started the paper bag series, my philosophy was that I would wake up in the morning and I would paint something new. Something, and I always pick different animals and crazy, weird creatures that maybe we don't pay attention to, but open up, people's minds to seeing like an emperor tamarin or a funny little tapir with a snorkel nose. Like, why not? Like, I was interested in it. I find myself always doing research now on the things that I paint because I'm not just doing a wolf in sheep's clothing here. I've studied the different tribes and people that would wear these headdresses, and the reason that they would wear a headdress, like they would take the wolf's head and put it on their headdress, and you kind of go, wow, like there's more to the story. And so I before, when I was knocking Picasso, I'm not knocking Picasso. I love Picasso. I love Monet. I love anybody of any of the greats, and I think there's room for all art. And so we have to stop putting everybody in a box. Like, if you're not that kind of artist, maybe you're in school right now, you're in high school, and your artist or your teacher's telling you what to do, and they don't have a lot of art background. Learn the fundamentals, absolutely, and do your stuff on the side. I think back now that maybe I should have, finished my art. I graduated with some art, but at the same time, it was no big deal. It was no big deal for me to argue a little bit and to, set myself up for being the person that I am today, which is pretty strong-willed. And I kind of still, I'll just always do what I want to do because we are sovereign and you're allowed to. So anyway, that's the story I wanted to talk about today, was how art, um, it it is, yes, there's so many fundamentals. Learn the fundamentals, but at the same time experiment and have fun and see if maybe there's a niche that you fit into that other people aren't working in. Because there's room for all art, all creatives out there to do whatever they want. So I'm going to get back at it and do some more shading. Like I said, I have to keep imagining the sun's coming in from there, and where's the most light going to be. But then it's so confusing because I've got my own house here with four different light situations, and it's always everywhere. There's light everywhere. But yeah, I love the idea of capturing light. Light is one of my favorite things right now. So I'm hoping in the next year or so I learn more about light and how to put it on the paper and get it all figured out. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, and I know I'm putting out a lot of videos, but I feel now that maybe I can teach as well as learn while I'm on this process. It's so much fun. It really is so much fun. So take some time out today to have fun. Do something whimsical. Don't always work so hard that you are just tuckered out by the time you hit the pillow. Do something fun in the middle there. There's a lot of room for fun. Anyway, take care, guys, and God bless, and have a great day. Bye.